Share this guy again. All right. So welcome to the online training, the online masterclass uh, tonight, depending on where you're from. Lunchtime if you're in the U.S. Wherever you are from, welcome. Okay. And I'm just going to literally just walk through the exact process that I use when I work with churches and local businesses, brick and mortar type places, right? To actually help them get people from the internet to their stores. If you're a church, if you're a local business, you face a little bit different challenge than people, let's say, who are running online businesses, who are running an e-commerce store or something like that. Like that, for example, they're looking for engagement, they're looking for web traffic, they're looking for conversion rates and optimizing copy and sales pages and all that kind of stuff, which is great. But a lot of times we're looking for something a little bit different when we actually want people to come to our physical location. Okay. And there's good news that there is some ways to do that. And I'm going to show you some proven ways that I've actually tested and seen great results. And what I really want you guys to have when we walk away from this conversation tonight is that today is that you have clarity on how it is that you can implement this process to get new visitors. Okay. So let's do a little bit of housekeeping quickly. Why don't you just go ahead and close out any other tabs that you have going on? You got a YouTube video playing in the background, Spotify going on, you're shopping around, whatever. Go ahead and close out those tabs, put your phone down, stop scrolling through Instagram, and just for the next few moments, pay attention here, because what we're going to walk through today, what I'm going to teach you, is going to be very, very helpful for you, I can promise. Okay. If anything gets weird with the Zoom call or anything like that, just go ahead and close it out and just rejoin. We'll be here when you come back. I promise. And also jump in the chat. So if you have any questions, I'd love to hear questions or ideas or feedback, and I'll refer to the chat as we're going. And yeah, want it to be very practical, very actionable for you guys today. Okay. So just very quickly up front as well, what's the pitch? Okay. I like to be very transparent, nothing hidden behind closed doors. There will be an offer for you today. I'm going to do something that I never do. Okay. And that is offer a done for you service. Okay. Usually I work with clients on like a coaching basis or a teaching basis to help them implement things. But I'm actually going to offer a done for you implementation of this process that we're going to talk through right now. And so I'm going to teach you everything that you have to do. So if you walk away from this conversation and you're ready to just get after it, you will be equipped to actually implement this yourself. Okay. So I'm not holding anything back from you on this call so that I can back you into an offer. Okay. What I'm doing is I'm just going to tell you everything that you have to do. And this system, it works like a charm. It works like gangbusters to generate thousands of dollars of new revenue for your local business. I've used this exact process. Literally, I'm going to show you data as well to back this up later on, to get thousands of people in the doors of churches. Okay. And so I promise you that it works. And most of you guys who are on here today probably found me via Growth Tools or the Drip Scripts community. And so that actually happened because I showed Brian Harris of Growth Tools, some of the data. And he thought it was like amazing. He thought it was like one of the coolest things ever. And he wanted me to share it with you. So that was sort of why I came on the Drip Scripts community, if you met me there, and shared that information with you. So this is like a Brian Harris approved system, if you're familiar with him and coming from that section. And there's data to back this up. Like I said, I'm going to show you later. But I realized that not everyone has the time to implement this kind of stuff. Not everybody has the attention or even the desire to do it. And so, I've found that you can teach this stuff to people, but just not everybody is going to do it, which is unfortunate, but it's just the reality, and that's perfectly fine. So I just decided that I completely understand that. So I'm just going to offer you this special offer, limited time, offer, and I'm just going to do it for you if you want. If after we talk through it tonight, you're interested, I'll just do it for you. And I'll let you know more about that. This is what most people look like when they're trying to implement this kind of stuff. There's lots of ins and outs and things that you have to learn. There's some technical setup and things like that come into play. But it can make your life complicated. You might have to fight with your creative or marketing person. You might have to spend nights and weekends working on it. There might be a snag or two that you hit. But don't worry, if you persevere and work through it, you can do it by yourself. Guarantee you that you can do that. However, if you want to work with me, or if you want me to do it for you, then this is what you'll look like. You'll look like a smiley, blue-eyed person. Now, I don't know why they both are handsome with blue eyes, but anyway, it's just a photo of happy people who have let me do this for them, right? So the done for you implementation, if you're interested in that, go check it out, adamhighfield.com/visitors. I'll be making that available for you, but I'm moving on quickly. Only 10 of those slots available. Something like 60 or 70 people signed up for registered for this webinar. They will all have access to that. So don't miss out on that opportunity to do that. If this is something that you're interested in doing and want to do, there's only 10 available. So even now, if you're interested, go ahead to that URL and check it out. Okay. And if you book while you're on this call, then I'll go ahead and invite you to join my email marketing video course for free. So if you do that while we're on this masterclass, I'll throw that in extra for you. Okay, so let's actually jump into the content. There's a myth out there that says that online marketing strategies don't work for local businesses and churches. Okay, I can tell you that is not true. And there's a reason why I can tell you that is because, actually, I'll just go ahead and tell you a quick story. So I didn't learn any of this stuff that I'm going to teach you on like a church communication forum or any sort of like local business class or anything like that. Certainly didn't learn it like on a college campus. And so to my knowledge, there's no one actually else out there that does these sort of things with churches. I'm sure there's probably some other people out there, but I don't know of them. I didn't steal this idea from anybody. But this is a thought I had in my head. I had come out of working for a startup company where I was working in digital marketing, began working and volunteering more closely with the church, and thought, hey, I wonder if some of these online marketing strategies that we're implementing in the startup world could actually be relevant for churches and for local businesses. Well, actually, it started with churches because I was working with this church, right? And so we tested it, and it worked, which was crazy, right? And so then in the process of how my business developed, I ended up teaching the same process to other churches as well, and it worked, which is amazing, right? And again, there's real data to back this up. And so I also saw that, like, okay, I can get people to come to churches. We could probably get this to work for local businesses as well, like brick and mortar stores. And that also worked. And so this process I'm going to teach you is tested, it's proven, it's vouched for, and it's just a really cool process. So here's sort of the overview of what it looks like. This is somebody who's coming in. This is like the top of the funnel, let's say. This is a visitor or a potential visitor who's floating out there on the internet, right? And we want to be able to capture their attention. And we'll talk about different ways to do that, about how to promote this content. But it starts with a great lead magnet, okay, which has relevant content to capture leads. We're going to talk through all of these in detail, but this is just the high-level overview. Then you're going to host that content on a landing page where people can find you, or you can send people, okay? And on that landing page, they're actually going to opt in. They're going to give you information in exchange for this free piece of content you have. Once they opt in, you're going to actually connect some back-end systems. Remember I said there's a little bit of technical stuff here that's going to help you do this. And that's actually what's going to help you run it on autopilot. And so this is actually going to help you automate this process. So once you do it, you don't really have to touch it or mess with it. It's just going to work on its own, whether you're sleeping, whether you're on vacation, whether you're out of the office, whether you're doing the other things that you need to do as a business owner or an organizational leader, working on accounting or in meetings or whatever. This stuff is going to be working for you, okay? And so once they opt in, they're going to be sent to what's called an automated email sequence, okay? And this sequence is going to actually nurture those leads. And so if you guys came from the Drip Scripts presentation a couple weeks ago, this is what I actually shared with you word for word. the script that we use in this process. Okay. And the back end of that script, you're going to have a really strong call to action with clear next steps. Okay. And this is just going to show people exactly what it looks like to engage with your offer. It's going to make it much more likely that they actually book an appointment, or that they actually plan a visit or show up at your church, or at your, at the front door of your coffee shop or your business or whatever it may be. Okay. And then step 5 is just using the personal touch, a personal follow-up with these people to make them feel welcome. Okay. To give them a reason to actually come, a personal touch point. And I found that really helps with the conversion rate of actually getting people to come. Okay. So that's sort of the overview of the system here. And put a little note for myself here, actually show the data. So I'm going to pop over here. Hopefully you guys can still, you guys see this? Let me see if you guys can actually do this. In theory, you should be able to follow with me. Oh, I'll just do this. So let me actually go over here. This is actually some data. This is I can't fake this stuff, right? This is inside of my Lead Pages account. Lead Pages is just a system. It's a program that I use to track, to build landing pages and track conversions and get opt-ins and stuff like that. And so you'll see that over the last year and a couple of months, that this is specifically for a church lead magnet for one of the lead boxes that we use. So this isn't even all of them, but for one of the lead boxes we use, we've had over 800 people actually come through this funnel with a 50% conversion rate, which is nuts. And some months we're having 74 people, 66 people who are coming into this funnel and potentially actually going to be walking in to the door of your local business, of your church. Okay, so this is pretty crazy. And this is what caught Brian's attention. Again, if you're familiar with Brian, this is what caught his attention when I said, hey, dude, we were actually talking on the phone one day, and he said, what have you been up to? And so I started explaining to him, and this caught his attention. He was like, holy cow, this is actually working. It's crazy. So that's a little bit of the data to back up that process, which is always interesting, right? Just to see that it's actually working. I can sit on here and tell you that it's working, but when you can actually see that it's working, that's really interesting. Get back to the screen that I was sharing with you guys. Here we are. All right, so let's actually just jump into the process. We'll start with number 1, right? The lead magnet with relevant content to capture leads. So what is a lead magnet? How does it work? Okay, so lead magnet, again, if it's just from the very basic level here, a lead magnet is something that you offer to your audience that is value added. Okay, you're offering value to them based on what you know about them and what you think is relevant and valuable for them. Is this information, okay, that you're offering to them. And the only thing that you're asking in exchange is for a little bit of information from them, right? Whether it could be a phone number, it could be an email address, it could be a place to text, a phone number to be able to text them, or however you do this. But the most basic form, and that's what we're going to focus on today, is through email. Okay, so we're going to be getting them to opt in for this lead magnet, capturing them as a lead, and getting their email address. Okay, and you'll hear me refer to this as an email, or as an opt-in or a subscribe. Okay, so here's just a couple examples of a lead magnet. Best of Jacksonville cheat sheet. Okay, this is the Best of Barcelona cheat sheet that you heard me talk about if you were in the Drip Scripts community presentation. This is just hey, if you're in Barcelona, here's 5 cool things to do that you probably haven't seen on TripAdvisor. So it's advice from locals. And so when people are in Barcelona, they may be looking for a church, or maybe they may come across our website. We can assume that they're people who are local in Barcelona. If you're not in Barcelona, then why would you be interested? Or you're not planning a trip to Barcelona, or not planning on being here, why would you be interested in things to do in Barcelona, right? So if they opt in for this and tell me that they're interested, then that means that they're probably interested, or at least they're probably going to be in Barcelona, which means that they are in our target audience, and we want them to come to our place physically because they're physically here. Here's another example. Top summer activities for your kids. If your business or your church targets families, having some content that's relevant for families works really well. Okay. Family activities, devotions that you can do before bedtime, crafts, those sort of things. Right. And here's an example of a college, Evangel Temple College. And this is the example of what I would call like a footer page of a lead magnet. So I want to quickly explain that this content we're not just giving them content just to give them content, right? We're actually giving them content. That's the whole idea of content marketing in general. We're not writing blog posts. We're not publishing podcasts just to be publishing information. I want it to be value-added information, but we're also always trying to send people back to what we're offering, trying to show how what we offer on a larger scale adds value and helps them succeed in their life, helps them survive and thrive, right? So at the end of your lead magnet, you want to offer some sort of call to action that drives them back to your main offering, okay? So the first step is a great lead magnet to capture leads. And here's what it must include, okay? It must include a catchy title. It must have relevant information that offers real value to that person or to your target audience, okay? And it needs to be a visual, easy to read design, okay? Meaning that it's attractive to look at, it's not difficult to read, okay? And then as I mentioned, you want to see a call to action at the end that links back to your main offering. So maybe you're like, hey, that all sounds great, but like in my context, like what would that actually look like? So I'm going to give you a couple ideas of where to start, okay? Where are you? And what are the interests of people in your area? Okay. Where are you? What kind of people are you targeting as well? And what are their interests? Okay. Second, what is like the core philosophy or framework for your organization? What is the main concept of your business? What is based on your core offering, you probably have you can probably narrow down exactly who your audience is. Like, for example, the other day I was working with someone who has a leather crafting business. They do leather works. They make leather goods. And so they actually targeted specifically at farmers. So in that case, what can you offer for farmers that is interesting to them, even if it has nothing to do with your leather goods, right? So I for example, recommended to him five pieces of equipment on the farm that can, make this summer, this harvest more, make it easier, make life easier for you, or something like that, or five budget-friendly pieces of equipment that you can make in this week, or something like that actually is relevant for farmers, right? It doesn't necessarily have to do with the product that you sell, or in the church context, it doesn't necessarily have to do specifically with the Bible or something like that. As you see, the very main one that I used as an example and that I always go back to as like the most popular one that I've done was the Barcelona cheat sheet. Like, hey, here's 5 places to have coffee in Barcelona. Here's 5 like great places to eat, and here's 5 things off the beaten path that you can do from like local advice. Right? We're the locals. We're going to give you the best advice. So it doesn't necessarily have to be exactly relevant, it doesn't necessarily have to be the main thing that you teach. It doesn't have to be leather goods. It doesn't have to be the Bible, but it's something that's relevant to your audience. Okay. And then also think about what content you already have. Maybe there's like some blog posts or some videos that you've already made that are relevant and really helpful. Maybe somebody said like, oh man, this is like the most helpful blog post I've ever read, or you've gotten really good feedback on like one piece of content that you've put out. You can easily adapt that and use that as a lead magnet. Okay. So think through those things. And the action step for this first step is just figure out what that content is going to be. Okay. All right, moving on. So we have a lead magnet, and we're going to actually have to host that piece of content somewhere in order for people to be able to find it. Okay, so the second step is have a landing page where people can find that content. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I'm paying attention to that as we go. So just put it in the chat and I will pause briefly. If there's some relevant questions, I'm happy to answer those sort of on the fly. So step 2, again, a landing page where people can find that content. So I'm going to show you a couple examples of a landing page and actually what that looks like, and a couple of different things that you want to have on those landing pages to make them successful. Here's a landing page. Many of you have seen this landing page, actually. This is a landing page for a lead magnet, a PDF that I have out called How to Get 1,000 New Church Visitors for Free. Okay, there's an example of a landing page. Here's the Best of Jacksonville cheat sheet. This is the one that we saw up here. This is actually the landing page where you can get that information. Okay, here's a couple more examples. Best Design Web Practices. And then lastly, 7 ways to add serious strength building to your routine. So you guys have probably all seen stuff like this, but there's a couple really important things that you want to have on your landing page in order for them to be successful. So tell me, anybody in the chat, if they want to chime in, what's like one of the things that you see in common with all of these pages? Okay, yeah, so they all have like a button that's like a bright button that says download the guide or send me the free ebook or download or whatever, get my free copy, right? Okay, and so here's a couple more things that we can point out here. Here's a few things that your landing page must include, okay? 1, an easy to understand, catchy title. You'll see that as we go through here. How to get 1,000 new church visitors for free. Ready to get 1,000 new church visitors for free? The Best of Jacksonville cheat sheet, right? That's just like a really strong title. Web design best practices. Create a great looking website today with this easy to follow guide. 7 ways to add serious strength building to your routine. Okay, these are like things that if you are in that audience that's being targeted, they would be easy to understand and really catchy when you read them. Okay. Another thing that they have in common is that they highlight sort of an overview of what you're going to learn in the guide. That's always sort of important. Here you say 3 different things that you're going to learn, 3 kind of bullet points. Looking to create a website from scratch, etc. The ultimate guide contains the obvious and not so obvious of best practices of web design. Okay, so it tells you a little bit about what you're going to learn. At any skill set, and then 7 ways to add serious strength building to your routine. And then I'd love for you to get fit, but how can I find the time? If you've ever asked that question, this ebook and my newsletter are designed for you. So another way of sort of qualifying and explaining exactly what it is that they're going to learn, right? Okay. Another thing, and somebody mentioned this in the chat as well, is clear CTA that pops out from the background. So CTA just means call to action. And a lot of times that's going to mean a button. So you'll see this orange is popping out from the white background. Again, orange is popping out. This bold greenish color that's popping out. All right, pink, just like there's no doubt that where I need to click on this page, right? And so that's the goal of your landing page. You want to be very simple to understand exactly what you want them to do. What is the number one thing you want them to do? Put that in a big, bold button. Okay, that's like a key to a landing page. Don't use too many words. Okay, and then lastly, you're going to need to connect this landing page to your email service provider. Okay, you may say, what the heck does that mean? Okay, I'm going to show you just very quickly the back end of this landing page. This is the landing page that I host, that again, many of you have seen. And I'm going to show you exactly how I do that. Right, and so this is, again, it's called Lead Pages, the service I use for this. And this is a landing page that I made. And in order to connect the opt-ins and be able to actually capture these people who want the content, I need to connect it with my email service provider. And so an email service, sorry, I just realized that you're not seeing my the new window that I popped over to. So let me share that with you quickly, and then get back over there. Are you guys seeing this now? Yeah, I think you should be seeing, um, yeah, you should be seeing my um, browser. Yeah, it looks like we're seeing. Okay, good. So click on get my free copy here, and I'm just gonna show you how I set this up through Lead Pages. And an email service provider, more specifically, is like MailChimp, or I use ConvertKit, for example. And these are services, if you're not familiar, just again, very basic foundational things that allow you to send out email on like a larger scale than what Gmail lets you do, without being blocked as like spammy and stuff like that. It also lets you automate a lot of these processes. So it's a very, very helpful and crucial piece of your marketing systems. Okay. I use ConvertKit, as you see. And this is how I connect it. I actually just connect it via integrations. You'll see ConvertKit here. I've already connected that. I've connected my Lead Pages account to my ConvertKit account. And there's different ways to do this. You don't have to use Lead Pages. You don't have to use ConvertKit. There's other ways out there, but you want to use some sort of landing page service, okay, which you can get cheap or free. You can also use any email service provider. I use ConvertKit, which is cheap but not free. And then there's also another option, MailChimp, which is very, very cheap. It's actually free if you have like under 1,000 subscribers or something. So if you want to get it set up free, I recommend using MailChimp, but you can still do all of these same processes inside MailChimp. You can set up your, in this case, I connect it with ConvertKit, set it up to where I want those leads to go. Okay. And then I can do different things as well. Choose what fields that I want, what information I want from them. Right. And then select some actions that it's going to automate. Okay. And what actually happens is when someone puts in their information to download this guide, to download this, this information, they actually get sent over to my ConvertKit. And so this is actually an onboarding sequence or an email sequence that we've mentioned and we talked about before, that is inside of my email service provider, which they will actually automatically be pulled into. Okay. And that's actually the next step of our process today, is implementing a automated email nurture sequence. Okay. So once we get to this step, now we're ready to build relationships and nurture these leads, these people who have opted in for our content, right? And so just as I showed you a second ago, I showed you how, I had this email nurture sequence automated and set up inside of my ConvertKit account. I'm going to show you exactly what sort of how you want to set up that email sequence. Okay. And this is an example of an email sequence. This is, if you came from Drip Scripts, you actually probably already have access to this or have already seen this. This is my new subscriber welcome email sequence. And I can put the link to this in the chat. Actually, if you're interested in checking it out, I'll just drop that in there now. So you have that and can follow along if you're interested. But I'm going to walk through just really quickly what that sequence looks like and why it's effective. Okay, so I'm actually going to go back and share. I know I'm popping around quite a bit here, but I want you guys to be able to see exactly what it is I'm doing. So this is the email sequence. Okay, and I'm going to walk through and show you why this is helpful. Okay, so the first email is just delivering the content. Okay, so there's 5 emails, and I would recommend 4 to 5 emails in your email onboarding sequence that you set up, your automated email nurture sequence. Okay, and the first one, you always just want to say thank you and deliver the content. Okay, so thank you so much for downloading this this content. We hope you find it helpful, etc. Here's the link to the guide, just in case you missed it. And then immediately as well, want to start to open a conversation. Okay, and so here, quick question for you: how long are you planning to be in Barcelona, or in your case, wherever you live, wherever you operate your business or organization? Okay, Let me know if I can help you in any way. I'd love to connect. Okay, so this is just a simple email that opens up and says, hey, starts the conversation, delivers the content. They've already asked you for the content, so you're just giving them exactly what they've asked you for. Okay. Second is an email where you sort of introduce yourself. Okay. And the way we do this here in this particular email is sort of cute and clever, saying, hey, that was rude of me. Earlier this week, I sent you this content, and here's what it had in it. And I was so excited to send you our recommendations or these things that we wanted you to learn in the content that I forgot to introduce myself. I forgot to say hi, tell you a little bit about me, right? And so in this case, you say, hey, my name's Adam with so-and-so church or whatever business or coffee shop or whatever it may be. And this is what we do there. This is what we do at our church. This is what we're all about. I've been living in Barcelona, or I've been living in Chicago, or I've been living in Charleston or whatever it may be for a while now. And, I can be your point of contact if you have any questions about the city, if you have any questions or, about churches in the area or everyday life in Barcelona and your city. Here to help. So again, you're just sort of in a sort of playful and almost like very much feeling like a real person, right? Connecting with these people, with these leads who have opted in, and just trying to build a relationship, open up a conversation with them. And then here at the bottom, this is sort of, again, a sort of clever way to open a conversation. Hey, if you're looking for the best gelato in the city, there's an amazing place that's so new. It didn't even make our list. Again, so this piece of content that we're specifically talking about, the best of Barcelona cheat sheet, is like 5 best places for coffee, 5 best restaurants, that kind of stuff. So this gelato thing is like along the lines, or ice cream or whatever, is along the lines of stuff that those people would also be interested in. So then it's a way, hey, let me know and I'll shoot you the address. So again, that's a cute, sort of clever, quick way to build, to let this person reply to you, and you can actually start a real conversation with them. Okay. Next is cool stuff happening this week. This is where you just want to continue to offer value to them. Okay. You want to let them know about things that are happening. If they are looking for cool stuff to do, then they're probably also interested in like different things that are happening, like events or something like that that's happening here locally. Okay. So you can sort of, it's sort of like a content flow, let's say, that makes sense. That's obviously still relevant for them, and just works really, really well. Okay. So I know I've mostly been telling you about cool places to check out in the city. And but I also wanted to let you know about some fun events we have going on this week, whether it's meeting at a coffee shop or going to the bunkers at sunset, or doing a church event or whatever. There's always many great opportunities to connect, meet new friends, etc. I'd love for you to join us. Here's a couple places where you can find out more about us, okay, or find out what's going on, what these events are happening. Or, of course, you can always just respond here and let me know if you have any questions. So again, offering value, and always trying to open up a conversation with some sort of statement at the end or some point in the email saying, hey, if you just reply, I'm happy to help you out personally. Okay. And that's part of that personal touch that we talked about throughout. Okay. Number 4, I'm going to move quickly here, but number 4 is Barcelona's an amazing city. The beaches, you can't do life alone is the subject for this email. Okay, Barcelona is an amazing city, but it provides many distractions. The reality is the hustle and bustle of the city can sometimes leave you feeling lonely and unfulfilled, which is true. My friend James moved here from England for work, and he had this exact same experience where he felt lonely and unfulfilled, that kind of stuff. And after the excitement of the city wore off, he felt lonely and disconnected. But then he found ICB, right? So this is sort of like a problem solution email, and mixed with like a testimonial, right? So problem solution, and we're also telling a story, which is captivating, right? And then we're talking about how he found a solution to his problem at ICB, at the International Church of Barcelona. And he knew that once he encountered this solution, that his life would never be the same. He had finally found a family. But he tells the story better than I can. So it sort of opens up a story loop in their brain. Watch James' story here. And so that's where you would click and you would go to a video where he is actually telling his story about how he found the church, et cetera, and why that solution was helpful. And so it's always helpful to use some social proof or some sort of like testimonial and those sort of things, where you just, it makes people realize that you're legit, right? You're not just some weirdo on the internet. You're actually providing value to them, and you know what you're talking about. Okay. And you've experienced and been through, and people have had success with, even when they found, problems that a lot of people feel, in this case in Barcelona, feeling lonely or disconnected. Okay. And then lastly, I'm going to stop here. I'm going to go back to the presentation, because part of what we're going to talk about in this last section is related to the next section. Okay. So number 3 is create that automated email nurture sequence. Actually, you don't even really have to do number 3, because I already did it for you. If you click that link that I dropped in the chat for the Drip Scripts script, then you literally can just take that script, change a few sentences, or change sort of the theme of it so that it fits and is relevant for your business and your content. And then you already have it. It's proven, it works. Take it, use it. I don't mind. You can steal it. That's why I'm sharing it with you. So write an email onboarding sequence to open conversations, or just take the one that I gave you and customize it. Okay. 4th is use strong call to actions with clear next steps. Okay. If you're familiar at all with Donald Miller or the Story Brain framework, one of the things that he talks about is that it's extremely important to give people a clear path for how to do business with you. Okay. A lot of time, like us as human beings, we like to follow a path. And if there's ever a point where we feel like we don't know where the path is going to lead us, or we run up against something that is blocking our path, it's very likely that we'll just stop and not continue. Okay. So if we actually want people to take action on the things that we want them to do and the things that we're leading them towards on this path, right, we actually need to just very clearly show them the next steps for how they can do business with us. Or in the case of coming to our church, actually physically showing up, or physically showing up to our store or coffee shop or whatever it may be. Okay. So I'm going to show you in the last email of the email sequence exactly how we do that, how we follow up using clear next steps. Okay. There's always room for one more. Okay. That's just the subject line. That is very much in line with our ethos, our core values of the church, etc. Okay. I wanted to personally invite you, I'll just jump down here to the point. It's a part that's a little more relevant to what I'm talking about. I wanted to personally invite you to join us. Okay. Look, I understand it's a big commitment and sometimes scary to come to a church for the first time. So I wanted to give you a picture of exactly what it'll be like when you get there. Okay. You have to realize that getting in your car, or getting in the subway, or getting in a taxi, or whatever it looks like in your context, to go across town, to go to some place that they've never been, they got to look it up on Google Maps. They got to decide how they're getting there. Are they going to take their bike? Are they going to take the subway? Are they going to take the car? Are they going to take the kids? Are they going to leave them at home? There's all these sort of things that they're thinking through that may keep them from actually coming. Not to mention the fact that once they get to the front door of your place, they're walking into, in the church context, they're walking into a building full of people that they've never met before, and they're wondering, are these people going to accept me? Am I going to fit in here? Or walking into your store, a lot of people, a lot of the same sort of feelings to come into play. It's like, do I belong in the store? Can I afford the stuff in here? Are they going to yell at me because my kid's eating an ice cream cone, or, all that kind of crazy stuff. Right. And so you want to sort of lay out a picture of exactly what it's going to look like when they get there. And so I'm going to read a couple of these steps that are really relevant specifically to the church context, because that's what this script was designed for. Number 1, you'll be greeted at the door with a smile and a hug. Okay. You're automatically going to feel welcome, as soon as you walk in, because somebody's going to be like, hey, what's up? I'm so glad you're here. Right. Number 2, someone will show you where you can grab a free coffee and meet new friends before the gathering. You're like, oh snap, it's 9:30 in the morning. I just came across town to get here. I didn't have time for breakfast, but Dang, there's free coffee and Danishes. Sweet. That sounds good. That means I can sleep in an extra like 10 minutes in the morning. Number 3, experience an upbeat, life-giving worship environment. Number 4, hear a relevant, biblically sound message. Excuse me. And 5, have an opportunity to connect and get involved immediately. Okay, so these are the 5 things. It very much obviously spells out that they're going to feel welcome when they first get there. They're going to be invited to meet new people. They're going to have an opportunity to connect and get involved. And then, oh, by the way, the reason that you're probably actually coming is also going to be there. It's going to be an upbeat, life-giving worship environment. You're going to hear a relevant, biblically sound message. So when I read this as somebody who's never been to this church before, it automatically gives me this sense of ease because I actually know what it is that's going to happen when I get there. And that's sort of the story brand, the Don Miller process of laying out stepping stones in people's brain to help them understand how they're going to get from one side of the river theoretically to the other, one where they are to currently to the other side where you want them to be. So instead of sitting at home on a Sunday morning, what is exactly going to look like for them to come, and what is it going to be like when they walk in the door? Okay, and make a strong call to action following that up. We have gatherings, here are the times. We have kids' activities, so feel free to bring them along. It's a great place for the entire family. If you respond and let me know you're coming, I'll make sure I'm waiting for you at the front door when you get there. Again, that personal touch that makes people feel welcome. Okay, and a strong call to action, plan a visit. Okay, we actually want people coming, or get directions. Here's actually our address. Come, get your tail there, figure out, what means of transportation you need to get there, what service you're coming to, and come. Okay, it's amazing and it actually works. Okay, lastly, it's something that we've covered quite a bit, but just briefly talk about it. Personal follow-up to make people feel welcome. Okay. People don't want to feel like they're they're being talked to by a machine. So in all the things that you're doing, when you're writing your email sequence, when you're asking questions to open conversation, like if people respond, like you need to actually have some sort of system in place to be able to respond to them. So, maybe you're the pastor of the church. You probably don't need to be responding to every email. Maybe you're the business owner who's running, everything involved with the business, legal, finance, inventory, everything. Maybe you're not the person that needs to do that, but maybe you have an admin person or a virtual assistant or something like that helps you with these sort of things. Set up some sort of system, some member of your team to be able to follow up with these people. In our case, when I work with churches, I always try to have one team member who actually is following up with these emails, for one. And then for two, when they say, hey, like, I'll personally meet you at the door if you message me, like actually following up and making that happen. So somebody messaged you and said, hey, I'm coming to the 10:30 gathering this Sunday, like be there ready, waiting for them, shake their hand with a smile. It goes such a long way to actually make someone feel welcome and help them to have a great experience the first time they come to your church and come to your store. Okay. It's not about just getting people there. And I hope you understand that. This is a system to help people get there, but this can all just like be for naught if they walk in for the first time. And one, you've painted a terrible picture of what it's supposed to look like, or you've told them it's going to be one way and it's completely different. Or you tell them, hey, I'm going to be at the door, or hey, there's this offer, this special, this promotion that's happening. And they show up and it's not happening, or it's not going on. And they feel like they just wasted their time because you gave them like some sort of bait and switch. Okay. We have to follow through, paint a very like realistic picture of what it actually is going to look like. And then, be that personal touch and make them feel welcome when they get there. Okay. So I'm going to do a quick recap here, and then we're going to do some Q&A if there's any questions. And if not, that's okay. But first step in the process is have a lead magnet to capture leads. Okay. This is a piece of content that you publish that is relevant for your audience. Okay. You're going to host that, number 2, on a landing page where people can find that content and opt in for it. Okay. You're going to connect that landing page or that system with what's called your email service provider. so that you can automate an email nurture sequence. Okay, this is the piece of the puzzle that allows it to run on autopilot. Okay, and it's not difficult to set up. It does take a little bit of know-how, but you can figure it out. I walked you through sort of what it looks like for me connecting lead pages with ConvertKit. But depending on who you post your landing page with and what email service provider you choose, it's going to be a little bit distinct. And so there's like hundreds of combinations of those. So I can't obviously show you all of them right here on this one. That's why I'm right here on this masterclass. So that's why I just showed you mine, how it looks there. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to help you with that. Tell me what service providers you use, and I can give you a more or less an idea of how to connect them. Okay. And you want to use an automated email nurture sequence. If you're curious about what one looks like, maybe you came in late to the call and you missed when we talked about that. If you go to the link that I posted, the dripscripts.growthtools.com link, that's a link to an email sequence that I've already written for you and I'm giving you for free. So steal that and customize it and use it if you're interested. Okay. Number 4, you want to have strong call to action using clear next steps. What is the number one thing you want people to do at the end of this funnel? What is the entire purpose of that you're running this, right? And so if that's to get them to come to your church, or that's to give them some sort of promotion to get them to come into the store, the strong call to action is come. Get your tail physically from where you're sitting behind the computer screen and come to our front door, right? And sit in premise this entire process. So you have to use a really strong call to action using clear next steps. Paint a picture for them of what it's going to look like when they arrive. Okay. And then lastly, use that personal follow-up, that personal touch to make sure people feel welcome when they get there. Remember, don't paint some picture that's not reality. Don't use bait and switch. Be truthful, be real. And then that way, when they show up, they'll have a great experience. Okay. So I hope that is all clear and understandable. If not, I'd love for you to point that out to me and jump in the chat to get your questions answered. I'm happy to take a few minutes if there's any hands that are going up or any questions that are floating around out there. Okay. If not, that's perfectly fine. In the meantime, I will actually Linda is saying she can't find the email sequence. Okay. Let me copy the link one more time, Linda, and make sure it's in there. It should be in the chat, but maybe if you came in late, maybe you can't see that it's actually in there. So, yeah, no problem. No problem. Linda, tell me if you saw that link that I just put in for everybody. And again, if you can't, okay, same thing is happening. A couple of different people are having this. I'll answer it for you. Oh, sorry, I hit answer live. Pam had just also mentioned that she couldn't see it. Merjedka, she can see it. That's good. So Pam, I don't know if you actually ended up seeing it or not. I'll, again, just put it in here. Let me know, Pam, if you still can't find it, and I'll make sure you get attended to personally. Any other questions apart from the email sequence link, if there's anything regarding that? What is your best method for connecting with people? Okay, so J. Rob is asking, what is the best method for connecting with people? Okay, yeah, I'm happy to answer that question. Why don't you be a little bit more specific? So this entire process is about connecting with people. Do you mean like specifically when you connect with them one-on-one, like when they reply, or if you give me a little bit more information about your question, then I'm happy to answer. In general, connecting with people, I found that a lot of times people will fall out of what we call the funnel. They'll fall out. And when I say fall out of the funnel, I mean like they'll respond. And so that would be like a best case scenario. It's like somewhere here in this email sequence, they'll respond. and reply to your message. And that is a great point where you can actually begin a conversation with them once they've sort of engaged you. So in those email scripts, as you'll see, almost every email has some sort of question at the end, or some sort of question that it's asking, trying to get a response, or saying, hey, I'm available if you need help or whatever. And then when people respond, then you respond back to them, help them out, and then sort of open a conversation. So, hey, here's the, for example, the one where they asked for like the best gelato. They're like, hey, that sounds awesome. What's the address? And so then we would reply back and say like, hey, here's the address. Oh, by the way, how's your trip in Barcelona going? Until how long are you here? And you sort of open a conversation and a dialogue that way. So just in general, the best way to connect with people is to have real conversations with them one-on-one. Obviously, the automation helps us do that at scale, where we couldn't, have hundreds and hundreds of conversations, different conversations going on via email. But for the specific people who message us directly, we can always follow up with them that way. So any other questions? If not, I'm happy to jump in. Yeah, man, no problem. You're welcome. So lastly, what's the pitch? I mentioned earlier what that was. I'm just going to quickly walk through it again for those of you who came in. I just spelled out this whole process for you. But what I've found is that not everybody will actually do it, unfortunately. I've just spelled out everything for you. I haven't held anything back from you to help you get this implemented. But it's going to take a little bit of work. Maybe it means that you're spending, some nights and weekends working on this, or you got to fight with your creative and marketing person to get it done. But you can do it if you want to, but the reality is that I found a lot of people won't do it. And honestly, if you do it without a whole lot of experience, you may get frustrated. This is like a real live shot of me at many points in my life trying to implement certain marketing strategies or techniques or different things. And, you can do it. I promise you can do it if you just hang in there and persevere. But there's another way that's probably just going to be easier for you. And so I think if you're on this webinar, if you're on this masterclass, you're very interested in being able to implement this. And so the second option would be don't fight it. I'm going to save you a bunch of time and a bunch of headache. I'm just going to do it for you. Okay. I will implement this entire process for you if you're interested. It means you don't have to lift a finger. You can go on vacation this summer and, you'll just reap all the benefits of it later after I do the work for you. Okay. Again, this is like a 5-step process. Creating the content. That's like identifying your audience, trying to figure out exactly what the content's going to look like. I've worked on a lot of these different things. So, I can help you create a really, really good piece of content, right? I'll create a very, very good lead magnet for you that is going to get people's attention. It's going to get people to opt in. Okay. Will create a landing page for you. A landing page that looks great, that's optimized, is going to have a great conversion rate. Okay. I'm actually going to connect that landing page for you. One of the stickiest parts of this whole process is connecting the landing page where people opt in and actually getting that flow, that automated flow happening. So I'm going to do all the technical stuff for you as well. After I design your landing page personally, I'll personally write the copy that goes on it that actually makes people opt in, right? I'll do all the connecting in the back end to connect it with your email service provider. If you don't have an email service provider already, that's perfectly fine. I'll actually set up an email service provider for you. That'll be free, or I'll set you up with a free email service provider. So that won't be any additional cost. Okay. And I'm actually going to implement the automated email sequence into your email service provider for you. I'll customize it very specifically for your context, your store or your church context, and regarding whatever content that you're discussing, how you can add value to your audience. I'll customize that for you. Okay. I'll implement all of that so that you're actually getting people to respond to these emails and book calls or book meetings or book appointments, and actually responding to you saying, hey, sending you messages, replying to those emails as we talked about, so you can open real personal conversations with them. Okay. And I'll do this entire process for you. So you don't have to look like this. Again, you can be on vacation and come back and reap all the benefits, all the rewards. You can look like the awesome guy in the organization. You'll be the hero marketing person or the hero pastor who's now getting tons of new leads to the church. Another thing that I want to mention is that obviously this is the first step in the process, but you have to drive traffic to this landing page and to the content in order to get people to begin this process, to actually begin the process of coming to your church. So I'm actually, if you want me to do this for you, right? If you want me to do the done for you service to implement this entire process for you, I'm actually going to create a marketing plan for you as well. And I'm going to show you exactly how to drive hundreds of viewers, maybe even thousands of viewers to this lead magnet, to this landing page, to where you're getting opt-ins and you're actually getting people in this. In general, we would call this a funnel, right? And so this would be what we call top of funnel, meaning you're putting people into the system. So the system can't work unless it has people going through it. So in addition to setting the system up for you, I'm going to actually show you how to put people into the system as well, how to drive traffic to what you're offering. That's not something we talked about today. We talked more about the process. But if you want me to do this for you, I'm also going to create a marketing plan and help you start to drive traffic to this process as well. Okay. So this is a special deal for this masterclass. Okay. It's a done for you implementation for the Get 1,000 New Visitors system, that system that we just walked through. And I will do all of that I just described for you for $500. Okay. Let me just tell you, I never do this. I can tell you that I don't usually do like done for you services. Almost always help people. I coach people. Again, not everybody has the time and attention to do this. Some people want somebody to coach them and help them along the way. And other people just want them to do it for, like, some people just say, hey, I would rather you do it for me. But I want you to understand, this is like a special offer. I don't usually do that for people. However, I want to offer that to you guys today. Okay. If you're interested for this done for you implementation of the Get 1,000 New Subscriber system, you can go to this URL here, adamheifel.com/visitors, and there's only 10 slots available. Okay. There's like 60 or 70 people that are registered for this webinar, for this masterclass. And it's available to all of them. So I don't want you to miss out. I want you to go. If you're interested and you want me to do it for you, you're like, hey, that's awesome, go do it. adamheifel.com/visitors, and you can sign up there. Okay. But there's only 10 slots available, as I mentioned. I'm going to show you quickly what that landing page looks like. Just walk through it with you. Let me go over here quickly. So here's actually the landing page. As I mentioned, adamheifel.com/visitors. The special masterclass offer, again, is the done for you implementation of the Get 1,000 New Subscriber system. If you click here and just click on the buy the limited time offer, it's actually going to take you just to a Stripe checkout page. So very simple. You can make my computer runs really slow when I'm running Zoom, but using this page, you just can make a safe and secure online payment through Stripe. I use Stripe, so it's always safe and secure, nothing weird there. And I'm going to show you, just walk you through one more time exactly what it is that I'm doing for you. I spell it out right here on the landing page. Wait for this to load quickly. Come on, baby, you can do it. So this, again, the special limited time offer includes, first, actually didn't mention this, but this is something that's happening. We will actually jump on and have a 30-minute onboarding call. Okay, so I need to be able to talk with you one-on-one to be able to understand your business, exactly what kind of content we're going to create, and how I can implement this process best for you. And in order to do that, we'll have a 30-minute onboarding conversation. So you can ask me any questions. I'm an open book to you during that time. And that's actually going to get us jump started towards exactly what it is that we're going to be implementing. Okay. I will then take all the information that we come up with in this call. I'm going to create your lead magnet for you. Okay. I'm going to create your landing page for you. I'm going to write the copy. I'm going to design it myself. I'm going to connect to your email service provider so that everything is connected, all the backend in the system, some of that weird technical stuff. I'm going to do all that for you. If you don't have an email service provider, I will set one up for you. Don't worry. Okay. I'm going to write a customized email sequence for you. I'm going to set up all the automation so everything happens naturally and automatically, so you won't have to touch anything. You're going to be able to focus on pastoring. You're going to be focused on having meetings. You're going to be focused on finance. You're going to be focused on your executive team and strategy, all the things that you need to do as a business owner, finance, legal, inventory, all the stuff that comes with the day-to-day of running the business, right? Working with personnel. You can focus on what you need to focus on, and it's not going to take any more of your time away from that. Okay. So I'm going to set it up all for you so you don't have to touch anything. I'm even going to create a custom marketing plan for you to promote your lead magnet. Okay. So I don't want you to waste valuable time trying to figure this out alone. I will save you the time and the headache. I'm going to implement this for you step by step. If you're interested, just come right here, click the button below, make a safe, secure payment, and you'll start getting new visitors. Okay. If there's no more questions, thanks for being here. It was an awesome time. If you have any questions that you just are shy to ask right now or don't think of right now, you want to ask me later, feel free. You can always email me. I'm happy to help you out there. And anyways, hope you have a great day, and talk soon. AdamHighfield.com/visitors, and we'll talk soon. Thanks.